Oh my god. What the frick happened here? Oh no, guys. Yeah. They won. Evil State Leader, Evil Clug, and Master Evil Anchors. They actually took over. They actually won. We lost. Operation Villains, everybody. I know that ended 2 weeks ago, but you have to realize this was the first time ever in Zoos Lab history that we have ever lost an operation event. And it has unfortunately happened again. This time with ZL3. In the last 30 minutes of February 11th, 2023. 2027 Master Evil Anchors. No, sorry, 2027 Evil Street Leader, my bad. Ultimately won the Future Party. Ultimately taking over Zoos Lab 3 for who knows how long. And 2023 Master Evil Anchors will be stuck in the future until we eventually can make our way back in the future. Get it? To be able to eventually reverse all of this. We have zero clue when it is, but ultimately, this Saturday Stories, or technically Sunday Stories, it's kind of funny because Colgan33 literally says that I should change it to just Lego Master 627 Stories. He ain't wrong, because I have broken the Saturday rule multiple times throughout the series, but I've gotten too used to the name. Now, I know we haven't done this series as much, but in order to keep that name alive, I want to announce that I hope to God I can actually stay consistent right here. I am praying to myself in the future that I actually remember to do a Saturday Stories every Saturday, hope to God, for the whole entire rest of the year. I'm praying to my future self right now. If you are hearing this, future self, please stay consistent with the story series. That's a message to my future self at any time of the year. Let me get back to the point, though. I thought I'd just add that in real quick. In this Saturday Stories, I'm going to be talking about how Zoos Lab 2 and 3 got taken over by respective villains. And in this case, that would of course be, for ZL2, that would be Evil Street Leader, Evil Clug, and Evil Master Evil Anchors from 2022, back when it happened. And now 2027 Evil Street Leader for ZL3. Oh, we lost again, guys. Oh yeah, once again, this is totally not a shock to you guys that we're all still here after all this time. Let's get into the story. So, Golgat33 asked me to do this on Lego's Island, and I will bring up video footage as we talk about this. Now, momentarily speaking, yeah, I'm not joking, guys. It actually freaking happened. And it's all because of me. Well, at least the second takeover. The second one is by yours truly, because I, the one who caused it. Oh, here we go, guys. I'll explain everything. It's time. We're gonna go to Lego's Island, because, oh boy, we have a lot to talk about. The ZL2 one is probably the more impressive one out of the two. Anyway, everybody, what I'm going to do is I'm going to purposely stand on top of this amethyst heart and talk to you guys about this whole entire story. It's just nuts, man. Oh yeah, usually going nuts. Anyway, oh yeah, not a surprise. We have like 50,000. Anyway, let's get to the actual story. I apologize. Oh, how did ZL2 get taken over and taken to look like this? Well, it was for one reason. One reason. Let's talk about it. Starting all the way back on January 15th of 2022, we ultimately discovered the power outage, which ultimately was basically the power source, aka the fateful redstone torch being taken out of our hands. And ultimately, the power was gone. They did something pretty nuts with this dang power source of ours. They used the said power source to ultimately make robots of themselves. Evil Cluck, Master Evil Unkers, and Evil Sheet Leader. But it didn't waste its entire energy. That would eventually lead into Operation Villains, which later caused the ultimate demise. The goal of this event was to ultimately save Zul'Zab 2 from ultimately getting taken over by these free villains respectively. And we could see here. While we did end up taking out 2 of them, Master Evil Unkers and Evil Sheet Leader, we ultimately never took out Evil Cluck, ultimately resulting in the lab getting taken over. But in reality, the real reason the lab actually got taken over was because we left the lab unintentionally for a week after St. Patrick's Day. This was due to the ongoing Lanai renovation project, as it had only just started. I got way too busy with that project alongside the rest of my family that ultimately, because of this, I came back 1 week later on March 24th, and it looked like what you're seeing here in this footage. Taken over. We ultimately lost it, and it was going to be a few months until we got it back. That would ultimately be in Operation Zul'Zab 2022, where at the end of the event, we ultimately got ZL2 back in our hands, and has thankfully not been taken since. Because we actually stayed active. That was how ZL2 got taken over. Now, the real reason. ZL3. This was a very unexpected one, I'm not gonna lie, as it only just happened, god dang it. The future party was on the horizon, and with the time machine intact, we made our way to 2027. As it suggests, we went to the future in ZL3 in 2027, and ultimately, while it was to celebrate the 6-year anniversary of ZL3, the real goal behind this was to find 2023 Master Evil Unkers after 2027 Evil Sheet Leader captured him and brought him into the future. Ultimately, that was our main goal, and what was supposed to be done in Mission 7, respectively the final mission. Ultimately, unfortunately, on February 11th, 2023, after all of that hard work and desperation, completing all of those said missions, after everything we had done throughout this entire party, I am unfortunate to announce that the reason ZL3 has now officially been taken over by the future Evil Sheet Leader was ultimately because I didn't go to Zul'Zab 3 on February 11th. Because I was super busy making the Legos Island Valentine's Day party. And that took forever to make. And the video took forever to make. Ultimately, by the time I was done with the video, it was like 10 at night. And ultimately, I was a little too dang sick and tired after doing all that. I knew I was supposed to go back to complete the mission. But ultimately, I got a little busy IRL. Well, actually, not really. Ultimately, what happened was, well, yeah, let me probably explain that. That hour went by so quick. And by that, I mean the literal fact that by the time I was going to do it, she shut off her PC, Rose Crystal did. Now, granted, I can understand because it was almost midnight at the time. But ultimately, I didn't think for a second that she was probably going to let me onto the world that late in the night. Because I figured pretty much as soon as I would get on, she would tell me to get off. And that is understandable because of how late it would have been. Ultimately, because I never went to ZL3 on that day, Ultimately, the goal was to make it back to 2023 ZL3 on February 12th, 2023. You had to be back in the time machine by midnight on February 12th. And ultimately, we never were. So, what does this mean? Well, first off, we lost. Because of me, dang it! Yeah, this time it was actually just because of myself. This party that you see behind me took forever to make, as I just previously explained. Again, the video took forever to make as well. Again, by the time it was 10 p.m. And I didn't think that Rose Crystal was going to let me in the world, especially for how late it was. I didn't even ask her, because she probably would have told me that it was super late at night. And it is understandable, because by the time I did, it was late. So I didn't think about that. But ultimately, it probably is for the better that I didn't think about doing that, because technically, as soon as I went in, she probably would have wanted me to be out anyway. Because, again, of how late it was. Ultimately, it is truly my fault that I, Lego Master 627, ultimately has now officially repeated history from 2022. The only difference is that it has only been now taken over by one villain instead of 3, and it is ZL3 instead of ZL2 that got taken over, which now only remains one lab. Zola's Lab 2. Here's the deal for all of you. If I freaking hope to God, in Operation Alternate Universe, let's hope to God I actually stay active. That is our last resort in order to keep both intact. Now, how are we going to get ZL3 back in our hands? Ultimately, I am not sure as of yet. I'll hopefully think about something in the future. For now, we only have one lab left, Zola's Lab 2. It's now basically the opposite, dang it. Granted though, we were more active in that world anyway, so this is basically nothing for us. I'll admit it will be kind of weird not updating ZL3 on Sundays for a bit. I'll admit that's going to be weird for a bit. So, yeah, and I had so many plans this year for ZL3. But the problem is a lot of the events were going to be very similar to each other. So, in a way, while it is very disappointing that this happened, we hopefully will get it back quicker than ZL2. We just gotta find a way. Ultimately, Operation Alternate Universe is still a thing in ZL2. And if we fail that, both of them are no longer ours. So let's hope that we can actually win that. Now again, as for getting ZL3 back, we'll think of that in the future. I did it again because ZL3 is in the future right now. So ultimately, Zola's Lab 3 is going to be stuck in 2027 until we eventually can find a way to make our way back using the future time machine. For now, ultimately, until then, I hope you enjoyed this Saturday Stories or Sunday Stories. I really need to be consistent again. I won't change the name because ultimately, what I'm going to do is hopefully not break the Saturday rule again. I know, I'm going to say that, and then I am. Ultimately, I've gotten too used to that name, to be completely honest. While Lego Master 627 Stories sounds more unique, I've gotten way too used to having the name Saturday Stories at this point. It's been almost 5 years. You bet I've gotten rather used to it at this point. And finally, for the first time, this is the first Saturday Stories since, I don't know. How about freaking October to not be, year event based for each area? Yeah, I know. Finally, after 4 months? That's great. Anyway, see you all in the next Saturday Stories on February 18th. I have no clue what I'll do, but I'll think of something. Anyway, I hope to be consistent with the series again. I really hope I do not jinx myself again, because I've done that a lot within this series. See you all in the next one. I'll catch you later for a sunny vlog in many, many hours. And then, chilling on Stupid PS. And, well, now we don't have ZL3, so that's one less video I have to do. I guess called Penguin Journey, because you never know what update they're going to do. Anyway, who knows, maybe it'll be the beta party. That'll be nice. Imagine if I'm right.